When the Steam Deck was announced last year, I made 3 videos talking about what I thought were the pros and cons of the console. And on the whole, I was very positive, and I still am. And I was so positive that I ordered one myself. And as you can see here, my initial order was showing as Q2 2022, but now it's showing as after Q2 2022. But I'm still looking forward to it, and hopefully I will get it in my hands eventually. I know some people have already got it. But yeah, as you can see here, these were my 3 videos. And the first one was this one here, is the Steam Deck, the Holy Grail of handhelds. And I was very positive in that video, for the most part. But I did raise some concerns, mostly relating to the fact that the Steam Deck was running SteamOS, which is a version of Linux. And that introduces some problems, most notably the fact that games are designed for Windows and then they are running on a Linux system. And anyone who's tried to play Windows games on a Linux system knows that you can encounter problems. And so you had a situation where I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, not all these games are going to run. And, you know, that was borne out by the fact that there was a database, ProtonDB, Proton database, that showed games that would run and games that won't run and so on and so forth. So I felt justified in saying that. But then I made a second video talking about what I thought was another issue, and that was relating to controls. And I said that certain games wouldn't run. And one of the games I mentioned was Arma 3. And someone pointed out that Arma 3 is the most difficult game to control because it's got so many different controls. But I just thought that made my point for me. The fact is there are some games out there that simply won't run because of the controls and the layout. It's just you can't get over it. So that's where I stood at the time. However, since then, the console's been released, certainly for a small number of people. And there's a lot of reviewers out there like Gamers Nexus, Linus Tech Tips and Digital Foundry who've looked at the console. And I feel vindicated. And I don't want to say I told you so, but told you so. Because if we go here, this is Gamers Nexus and their Steam Deck 1 month review. And this is what Steve has to say. And I'll play the short version of what he has to say because he goes into a lot more detail. But here's a short clip. So there you have it from the horse's mouth. Some of these games simply won't run. And this is borne out when we go into ProtonDB. And you can see it here. Deck verified games. This is now that the console is out. And we've got verified here. And it says 452 games. Verified or playable, 871 games. Now, couple of things there. That is not necessarily telling you that games won't run. Just because it's been verified and playable doesn't mean that, you know, there aren't games out there that haven't been verified yet that will not play. So there will be more games that will play. And, you know, as time goes on, there will be more games. The other thing is 871 games. I'm raising the point that not all games will play. But people need to understand as well that I'm not being overly critical of Steam here or Valve when I say that, you know, it's not all games, because there's still 871 verified or playable according to ProtonDB and will play well on the Steam Deck. So by any measure, it's still the biggest raft of games ever to be available on a console release. So let's keep it in perspective. I'm just making the point, not all games will run. Doesn't mean it isn't one of the biggest game launches, in effect, in history. And if you look here, this is Steam verified. And that shows you a list as well. And, you know, if you look down here, there's a lot of really good games that will play day one. Elden Ring, I mean, it's only just come out. Scarlet Nexus, Witcher, God of War. You know, I'm not talking about that one. Horizon Zero Dawn, Hitman 3, Hades. I mean, it goes on and on. The Ascent, Sekiro. Never got on with that, but, you know, it's a great game. Cuphead. Bloody hard game that is. There's a debate going on at the minute about how hard games are. That one's bloody hard. So you can see here, there's a whole load of games that do run. And we know at least 871 that will run. And I'm sure a lot more games will run with tweaking. So there's that. But if we go down a little bit more, if we show here, games that check these 4 checkboxes are DEC verified. So input, which is what I mentioned in my video. The title should have full controller support, use appropriate controller input icons, and automatically bring up the on-screen keyboard when needed. So that's a requirement. And it raises that point again about, you know, keyboard and mouse. Keyboard and mouse games just aren't going to run on it, certainly out of the box, and are going to take a lot of tweaking. Seamlessness. The title shouldn't display any compatibility warnings, and if there's a launcher, it should be navigable with a controller. Again, it's that controller thing. Display, I don't think this is a big issue. I think most games will scale perfectly well to run on 1280 by 800 or 1280 by 720. I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. And system support. If running through Proton, the game and all its middleware should be supported by Proton. This includes anti-cheat support. So that brings us back to what I was saying before in my first video, that, you know, some of these games aren't going to run simply because of anti-cheat. And while there's been some progress on that front, it's far and away from being fully sorted. And how long that'll take, or whether they'll actually get it sorted, is anyone's guess, really, at this stage. So, basically, my point here is that no matter how you look at it, the fact of the matter is that, as I said in this video, not that one, this one, no, Steam Deck won't play your entire Steam library. It simply won't, and it probably never will. Not least because there are some of the games that are on your Steam library that don't play particularly well on a standard PC. So if they're not going to run very well on a standard PC, how the bloody hell are they going to run on the Steam Deck? And you know, then you add in, like I say, the control issues, anti-cheat, ProtonDB, bringing games in, but certainly not all of them yet. And you realise straight away that you're never going to get all these games running on Steam Deck. And like I say, I'm still keeping my order. I'm still excited for the console. It looks like a bloody brilliant console, but it has got some of those issues that I raised about, you know, is it going to be a niche? I mean, you know, we go back here. I put this video out as well. Will Steam Deck be a niche product or a mainstream success? And I said in that video, I thought it would be a niche product. And I think, again, I think I'm borne out by the evidence we're seeing. Certainly, as it stands at the moment, the OS probably needs a little bit more tweaking and refinement from what people are saying. And certainly, we're looking on the database and seeing that not all games will run. So it's probably going to be a niche product. It'll be a big niche. And, you know, PC gamers, a lot of PC gamers and people like myself are going to be very, very happy with the console. But the idea of it being a mainstream console, like something like the Switch, I doubt that'll ever happen, to be honest. I really do. So yeah, not all your games are going to run on the Steam Deck. But that's not a bad thing, because it's still going to have a bloody load of games. And we should be happy with that. But anyway, that's just what I wanted to say this time. I'm going to go and grab myself a cup of tea, and I will speak to you guys in the next one. I'm waiting on the hate. Bye.